Hello.
Hello.
Let's wait a couple of minutes as we usually do and see where we go.
Hi guys.
Hey,
How's it
Yuri.
going?
I'm freezing so bad. It's like you would laugh, Yuri, probably, because the cold in my head is not the cold in your head, right? When you
Yeah.
say it's cold, it's really, really cold. And when I say it's cold, you maybe go with shorts.
How many degrees?
Let me see. I have no idea. But it looks like freezing. It's probably not. You know, I always like exaggerating a little bit.
It's 25 in my area.
That's nice. 11 degrees. So yeah, Yuri would go in shorts probably.
Um,
Because
Hi, you're welcome to visit Thailand.
yeah, I wish, man. I'm probably going somewhere else in January. So. Cool. Well, I guess we are going to wait for 1 or 2 more minutes. Meanwhile, as many people are going to be leaving on after next week, I am not sure if we are going to maintain the calls or not, depending on the assistants. But if it's going to be just John, Roberto, maybe Curtis, myself, and somebody else, we will probably cancel them until January for the last 15 days of the year, which is still not a big issue, I hope. Cool. I see Roberto has said it's fine. Is it all good for you guys? We just
Yeah, yeah,
postpone to
and
next year.
yeah, yeah, we're also going to take a break very soon. So,
Yeah,
and John is not assisting today to this meeting. He has another other stuff going on. So it's just me today.
I'm here actually. I'm just listening, but I
Oh,
may have to jump.
I was like, man, he's here actually. Cool. So awesome. Thank you for
cool.
joining. Hope everything is okay. And then, yeah, let's get started. As I usually say, the introduction, let's adhere and read the antitrust policy notice and code of conduct, which starts being a little bit repetitive, but it's in our duty to try and enforce it. So please read and adhere to this policy. Cool. Having that said, today we have a relatively short agenda with quick updates, discussions, and that's probably where we are going to allocate most of the time. Around updates, not much to be honest. Like past week, I think we got a lot more news than this one. One update is that we are participating, part of the team, on an interoperathon, which I don't know exactly what that means. It looks like a hackathon, but it's not. What we are going to be working on with the Div Foundation or the Div Working Group is to use the DivPR4 version, which is relatively new to integrate on the TypeScript SDK and on the mediator for now. And then we are going to be participating in that interoperathon to integrate with other systems that are using also DivPR. So we can test, I don't know, sending a basic message from my wallet to another wallet that is using a different SDK, also different mediator, and everything should work as expected. The interoperathon is at least 3 hours, but I am not sure we are going to need all those. Then second update is I would love, as part of the team is pushing me to do so, I would love to be able to present everything in terms of roadmap for the excuse me, the community call, but I am really not ready for that. So I will be sharing by the end of the week, probably tomorrow and Thursday with the team, and then it will be made public later, either by adding GitHub discussions or really adding the GitHub discussions and the GitHub issues directly. So you guys will start seeing that we are going to populate our next 3 months. And then a reminder that it's the last days of voting for Catalyst. So as many as you know, we published a list of the Catalyst proposals that we wanted to defend. Not all of them were ours, but related to Identus, and we tried to give everyone a little bit of visibility. So yeah, remember, if you have not done yet, to give those a try.
You guys were included in the Cardano Foundation.
I saw.
Yeah, the VDR one. So at least one is going to get funded for sure.
Yeah. But do you think
So
do you think
congrats.
the 180 million ensure the funding already?
Yeah, because you need about 48 million ADA
Okay.
in your thing to be able to make the 1% of the circulating or of the voting power. So with 180, you're sure for sure get selected. So that will get selected for sure. At least that one, the VDR, it was the only Identus project that I saw from that list, or Identus related in some way. So yeah, so at least one.
Got some friends in there. I want to think that it was not related to that, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
No,
well, I mean, they published their reasoning, you know, like in the paper. They explain why and why they voted and all that. So it's there. It's all in the open. It's not just one person deciding. So
I am aware also that it's caused a little bit of disruption, but to be honest, I have not seen Catalyst without disruption since Fund 10. Since Fund 10, it's always been like this. So yeah, I understand the frustration. In this case, we are benefiting from the frustration, but what's the point on doing Catalyst, right? Or voting if you want to build an open system, you need to make it fair. I still don't know how I would solve the problem, but yeah. We've seen that, man.
Yeah.
I was at 2 a.m. and at night yesterday on Twitter. So yeah.
Well, at least that we get funded for sure. So because there's no like I'm keeping track of Identus related projects, and there's also people like still using like the Tala Prism for some reason. I think there's one or two that may get voted, and the rest will likely not. Like they're way down. I mean, all we know is the number of votes, and we don't know the amount of ADA staked towards those. So maybe one like vote of a very big wallet will make those jump. So we never know until the end, really, but it's unlikely.
And do you guys have numbers? Do you guys have any numbers around your proposals?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to. We have like 100 votes or something on our stuff.
Okay.
So we're like not very good in number of votes, but we never know if one of those votes comes from big wallets.
Yeah,
that's all what matters in the end, right? So you never know until the end. But this time, you know, there's a lot more people voting, like because the requirement is like 25 ADA. So a lot more people should be able to vote. But yeah, well, we don't know. But for sure, if you get like backed up by Cardano Foundation of one of those big wallets, yeah, you get.
It is a great statement coming from the foundation, because the foundation is not prioritizing identity or Identus. They are working on carry. So it means a lot that they continue supporting that, and I really appreciate it. I think I will try to reach to the guys so they, like as you say, right? It's probably everyone took a decision in there internally, but I want to appreciate their support, because it means a lot. Like, we were going to do it anyway. We are not doing this for the funds. We actually don't know what we will do with the funds. Probably IO will take them. Because the proposal has been made as part of IOE. So yeah.
I
Cool.
see.
So yeah, if we don't have anything else about the Catalyst proposals, again, reminder, it's still a couple more days. Is it the 12th or the 15th?
I think the 12th.
Okay,
I
so
think ends this Friday.
We have 2 more days, and that's it. So yeah, now GitHub discussions, as we usually do. Let's try and review where we left the things past week. Issuance capabilities, I am not going to talk about it, and supporting needed methods, probably yes. Identus discussions kick off. Okay, so Elaine started creating one interoperability testing GitHub discussion, and I think it is a very interesting topic and very related to what we are going to be working on next. It is not that our main focus is going to be on interoperability, but we need to start thinking on how to attract people from other projects, and one very interesting way of doing that is by adding interoperability testing with specific platforms. And then as soon as we know for sure that they can transition quickly, we can start making, I don't know, a workshop or a tutorial on how to move from one place to the other. Because one of the things that all these other systems do not have is Cardano. Cardano is a network that will go nowhere. I already said that statement past week, and this is one of our strengths. So, Alain, do you want to cover on this point? What's your... Yeah.
Actually, this was a ticket from Jira, right? I moved to this discussion so we can decide what to do.
Okay.
So is this to get interoperability with other identity platforms, or?
Can you extend the description a little bit further? Because we define which applications is very open, and also compatibility with is very open. Can you be specific a little bit on?
Yeah, the ticket there was didn't have any description, right? But what I understood is like which other agents platforms we want to be able to communicate with, right? For example, Akapai, as far as I know.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Yes, Alan is right. We planned to run some compatibility test of the DITCOM protocols in order to ensure the compatibility with Aries projects. As you know, there are plenty.
There is zero compatibility. Sorry, it's DITCOM V1. Forget about it. It's another system that we need to test, but not Aries.
And that's what I wanted to say, that we postponed this task because Aries is not ready to do this. But there is Cree.ts, previously was Aries JavaScript framework, and probably sooner or later they will switch to DITCOM V2, and then we can start this task.
Yeah, and as far as I know, right, as Yuri said, when we are implementing the specifications, right, for example, they did DITCOM V2, we want to be able to communicate and be part, right, of the ecosystem. So it would be nice to test other applications as well.
Yeah, I have one in mind that the CheckD guys are running in Cosmos. From my understanding, that is not a lot. So I think they are one of our targets for next year, to try and build a solution that is so easy to integrate with that really people will not have to choose between one or the other, because the decision will be based on facts like the network and stuff like that.
Right. So what happened with the OpenID VC integration? Because that's the other, like, besides Ditcom, that's the other major protocol that other agents are using.
So correct. In this case, we decided to postpone the development and stop development after VCI. So VCI is also not complete. So we implemented code 1B, so authorization code flow 1B. But there is another specification that we are not. Fabio, please.
Fabio.
Sorry?
No, don't blow to the mic.
Sorry.
So yeah, I lost the point, but I think we are good.
Yes, we planned
you were talking about VCI?
OIDC for VCI and OIDC for VP. The problem is that there are three specifications: OIDC for OID for VCI, OID for VP, and SIOP v2. It's a kind of authentication with DID method. And these specifications are very generic, and it doesn't make sense to implement these specifications to 100% because we don't even have particular entities in our domain. So we will continue this work in the next year and base it on our priorities and resources. So Javi can guide us here.
Yeah, I completely approve what you said. I don't think that we are going to make this our top priority, but we were already completing phase 1 of OIDC. So at some point next year, I would like to see it happen. Like when exactly, I don't know, but it's not like deprecated or trashed out. It's just that with all the changes that we had to reprioritize stuff. And that is the reason why we said we were no longer going to work on until further news.
All right.
Cool. Next one about the reporting problem. In here, what we are trying to get from the GitHub discussions is that you guys assess the different scenarios, and if you see one scenario that you would like to see and it's not covered in here, that you try to give your opinion around that. If not, this is going to be served as a layer of where the specification is. I think it's not the ideal place where we would like this to be, but for now it's in a GitHub discussion. Cool. If anyone that I'm mentioning in these cards wants to jump in, like feel free to do so. But if not, in this case, I'm going to keep it simple. Cool. So around this one, we already proved past week that we were able to do. Sorry, what is this? So yeah, this discussion. Okay, I forgot what this was about. So this discussion is, as soon as we all start using DIDs on mainnet or testnet in Cardano and not using in-memory node, what is our, like wearing the hat of the person that implements, like Roberto or some other guys in here, what would be your ideal integration for having access to this resolved in mainnet or testnet from the SDK. Then first option is using a Blockfrost API and opt-in using the agent options. What that means is that the Blockfrost API client is stored on or living in the agent, and you opt in to activate the Blockfrost project on mainnet yourself by parameters in the agent. Then second option is we have higher separation of concerns and we create a new package and manually adding the resolver to Castor. So somebody would have created a package, either us or as part of the community, and this package is manually added to Castor as a resolver. So it's basically in the same way, but it's just living outside. And third option is the option that is the laziest option, where we are not implementing any of the resolvers, but we will improve the documentation in a way that it is very easy for everyone to create the resolvers and integrate them in the SDKs. In here, I think that, yeah, I think I voted myself. That's why I cannot see the button. So you guys already see it's a little bit biased. But please come in here and do your voting, because if not, we will take decisions. And like we have an opportunity now of deciding on this together. So I know, Roberto, that we are about to get on holidays and so on, but if you can spread this one across your team to give them a chance to read it, it would be very nice. And I will do the same with socials and the other teams.
Hey, Javi.
Yes.
Excuse me. So just so I understand, the consequence of each of these choices, am I correct in thinking that if we went with Blockfrost, then it would be maybe convenient, but there would be some sort of centralization involved? And if we went with Castor, we could be completely decentralized, but it might be some more work and maintenance? Is that those the trade-offs?
Not really, because like Castor cannot resolve blockchain. Castor needs to have either access to a node through some API that the wallet controls, or it needs to use Blockfrost.
I see. So the difference is you pointed to your own node, but still it's the same architecture. It's just in this case, Blockfrost is the node. Right?
Correct.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Correct. Sorry, Yuri, before you jump in, I am not sure how different that would be as an API, but yeah, we can discuss that. Yuri, please. Sorry.
I know that we can use Blockfrost to send some create update and probably deactivate operations for the deep prism, because we know how to compose the corresponding transaction, and all we need is just to sign it with a particular wallet key in order to publish over the Blockfrost API. But as for me, it's impossible to use Blockfrost API to resolve the DID, because the DID document is based on kind of it's the architecture where you publish the operations and then reconstruct the final object after reading all the operations from the chain. And it's not trivial to do this over Blockfrost API, because you have to scan all transactions in order, get the transactions that was published that is marked like a prism node operation, and then reconstruct all DIDs to your index engine.
Yuri, understood, but there is actually a service that is resolving prism DIDs on Blockfrost. Am I wrong, Roberto?
I mean, I don't know if they give you the DID. The Bjorn stuff, well, what he does is, yeah, he gives you an endpoint where you can get the payload of the DID. I'm not sure if what Yuri is saying, like, oh, the whole story of the DID gets, you get the whole thing, or reconstructing the story affects the final DID, or it's just the final DID because for my understanding is you publish the first DID, and then what you publish is not like a new DID that replaces the older. It's like a mutation operation. It's saying, oh, we're rotating whatever, a key, adding a service, removing something. And it's the operation that you need to apply to the history of the DID to kind of reconstruct what's the final state. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's not like publishing a new DID that steps over, right? Okay. So then I think what Bjorn is doing is that it's like giving you a DID. When you resolve it, it gives you, these are the keys. This is like the final state. And you can also individually resolve the mutation, the DIDs that mutate the other ones. But I think I'm almost sure, I'll have to ask him if he reconstruct the thing or not. But what I feel is there should be a separate package, because it's a very specific thing that we need. And I understand that the cloud agent can do it. And I guess what we're trying to achieve here is how to do it without the cloud agent, without that whole infrastructure. If you only running the SDKs, and you just need to resolve a DID, then maybe it could work sort of like a mediator, like its own package, and it will need access to the chain, so it will need access to a node. But it will do what Yuri says, that it will reconstruct and serve what's the latest of the DID, what's the resolved DID with all the history and mutations and all that, and get the final state of the thing. And of course, if you can run that, you trust that infrastructure because you run it yourself, and could be more decentralized as well. So I think my intuition says it will be beneficial to have that as a separate piece of software, if that's what we're trying to achieve, right? On these options, it's either using an API, which is okay, but if we cannot really trust that, or if we cannot really easily know the state of the resolved DID because we don't get that from the API, then we'll need to figure out an alternative.
Let me maybe clarify, like adding BlockFrost API maybe was not the best. But what I meant is adding a BlockFrost API service or something, talking to the BlockFrost API service that can give you the last state of the DID document for a specific DID.
So just one question here. Are you talking about BlockFrost or BlockTrust?
Oh, good point.
Because I think you guys are mixing both, and we are talking about different things.
Okay. BlockTrust is what Bjorn runs.
Yes.
And BlockFrost is it's a different API.
Yeah, so
yeah, you're
It's
right.
a hosted node with APIs. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
on BlockTrust, you have the DID resolver for DID Prism. So, and basically was what Roberto was talking about. You have API that you call, and you get the last version of the DID Prism. And on BlockFrost, what you have is the API that you can call, that you can ask for, get me all the transactions with this metadata ID or something like that.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I was 100% confused.
Which, by the way, I believe that's what Bjorn does. Bjorn actually, he basically looks at the chain and gets all the transactions into his own. I could be wrong here, but what I think he does is he basically sucks all the transactions into his own database, and then he's basically doing all that stuff offline right?
Yeah.
But he's not doing like a live query, right? But I think it's the similar type of transaction. Transactions.
Yeah, that's what he does, and he has like an analytics platform on top of that gives you the story and the mutations and kind of more. It's like analytics around that. So the resolver is sort of like a free thing or he releases that for now for free. Resolver is out there, you can use it, and gives you the latest state of the data. Yeah.
But the key decision for us is like, what do people want to use, right? Yeah. So I can speak for us. Like, I know that we probably wouldn't end up using Blockfrost, but that doesn't mean it's not more convenient for most users. And I think that's the discussion, right? If I would to vote, I would vote for the caster angle because I know we'll point it to our own node. But I can't necessarily say that everybody or a new person to Identus is going to want to do all that. So that's a fair discussion.
But then maybe the separation of concerns makes more sense, because we do not want to take a decision on how people integrate this or resolve stuff if they want to use a different API provider or their own Prism node, whatever they want.
Yeah.
Well, what I need from you is that the team and the community votes in this proposal, because again, if there's only my vote, there's nothing. Discussing is nice and important, but we also need to start voting and make progress. That's the only thing I would ask, for everyone to give this a try.
Yeah, we'll put some input in it. Thank you.
Yuri?
I just wanted to say that we started to simplify the API for Git Prism, and Javier announced it last week that there is a proof of concept that is able to publish Git operations on a chain without our infrastructure, which is great. And as a way to get this information about Git, we can use universal resolver, because we have opportunity to query universal resolver, which resolves Git Prism from the mainnet. And in case if you use testnet in your project, we might consider to deploy some infrastructure in IG to get these Gits also over universal resolver API, but from different endpoint. So we are on the same page here to simplify the usage of Git Prism. I believe that in next year we will have a great progress in this area.
Cool.
Yeah.
And
yeah, Fabio, go ahead.
I was just going to say what the universal resolver does is to call the block trust, so beyond application. So, but
really? That's what it does?
Yeah, doesn't do much. It's a very simple Docker compose that just redirect to block trust.
Well, what I would probably do is rewrite block trust service, and in something that we control, that is open, documented, and so on. Because also relying on a central party for all the DID resolution is not the greatest idea.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's, as long as it's aligned where you can resolve it, you can run the infrastructure to resolve yourself. I think that's great. That's preferable. And for now, yeah, it doesn't mean that we don't support going to an API or something like that, but I feel like it should be a API, like a standard interface to do that from the SDK perspective, and then whatever is under that could be Blockfrost, or could be even universal resolver, or your own resolver that we can run, on our own eventually.
Yep.
So. Cool.
But yeah, really interesting talk. And I agree that this is going to be like a part of the conversation that we are going to have next year. Because again, creating the operations is just one very small part. We are also going to integrate the resolvers to make it very easy to use. We are also going to integrate issuance functionality and issuance protocols. So yeah, this is going to be like a very interesting vertical for next year. And not just for what we have now in TS, but also for mobile devices. I do not want mobile devices to stay behind. So I would really make an effort to continue making the SDKs at the same level and make sure that they have what they need to do it on their side. Maybe creating the transaction, for example, the mobile phones do not have SIP30. So they cannot talk to Lace Wallet and create the transaction like I did. They will need to talk to an API, which is like all 90% of the mobile wallets that are native and not a web wrapper work like that. They need an endpoint to submit the transaction. And then the SDKs, the native ones, will have this difference. It's not something we can avoid, but it's better than saying the SDKs on mobile will never have issues.
Right.
I agree.
Before we move on, can I just ask, why are these options mutually exclusive? Surely we should do all three. Like Castor already has separation of concerns. We can inject whatever handlers or resolvers we want. Improving the docs so everyone can do it, that's fine, that makes sense. And then writing a specific block frost that people can inject, or maybe using it by default and allowing them to turn off.
Let me clarify. The first option is to integrate everything inside the agent. So you pass your project ID to the agent and it does everything you need. The second option is the agent has nothing. You create your own package that has your own resolver with your own API configuration and whatever you want. And the only thing you do is adding it to Castor. And third option, you don't add anything. You just make sure that it's well documented so anyone can replicate what we did. That's the difference.
But so, yeah, I guess that's where my question's at. So we're already at option 2, right? Like our Castor is already extendable by injecting your own resolvers.
Yes, but we don't have the resolvers to resolve things from mainnet and testnet.
Yeah,
today.
but that's kind of my point. So then surely option 1 would just be writing a new block frost resolver and giving the option, or even by default, injecting that into our current Castor. So like option 2 still goes in with option 1. They're the same thing. And then option 3 itself is also happens as part of that because you write the docs around it. I can't think what our Castor docs are currently like, but they probably don't quite lay out that the fact it's injectable for resolvers.
I understand, but I also want to make sure that you understand my point. So the first one, we are bundling all the code for the resolver inside the agent. So anyone that downloads.
Why would we move that way, I guess is my question.
Why would we move that way?
Yeah, why would we move away from a plugin architecture to a hard-coded architecture?
I mean, in the same way, we are also adding the short form and the DPR resolvers. We are hard coding them. So.
Yeah, so I am not following. I mean, resolvers are a different thing to identifiers.
I'm not sure I'm following you now. We are talking about resolvers in here.
Yeah, but you just said we're hard coding short form and long form DIDs, and my point is that's just part of a specification. That's not a resolver is a dynamic piece of code, whereas a property on a credential is not.
Let's not over discuss, please. But what I'm trying to say is that we currently have in our agent, Castor is started with 2 or 3 resolvers already. And you were saying that in our plugin way, we should never bundle anything, but it's there. It's currently there. So that there is no way to start the agent without did peer, for example. You cannot do that.
Yeah. I get that's kind of what I was driving towards, because the way these options are described, it sounds like they're mutually exclusive. But my point is, I don't think they are mutually exclusive.
So which are bundled right now? Did peer and in Castor?
Prism did and did peer, I think it is.
Yeah, Prism did. We have long form and did peer.
Okay, so I see. So now the thing is we're moving towards short form only, which will require a universal resolver to fetch the long form, basically, to resolve the whole thing. So the idea is to abstract that through Castor, adding either block trust or something else.
Yes, that Castor is already abstract, so you can add new did methods. That's done already.
Okay. Right.
You need to create something that extends from did resolver, and as soon as it extends or it implements that interface, you will be able to use it in the agent without any issue.
Right. Okay, so that's true. Like if we're moving towards short form did, it needs to be bundled, because if not, it will not work. Nothing will work, basically. And the idea is that you can modify it to resolve either through block trust or any other method, basically, right?
But in the case that you wanted to use a did method, or a local node that is not running things on chain, you would need to pass your own resolver. So maybe the separation of concerns option is slightly better. So I agree on making it easy for the users, but it is not clear what the user will choose to pick. And then maybe because of that reason, it makes sense to create a separate package that creates a local resolver that you need to put the agent API, and that's it. Another resolver that uses block trust API to build whatever, and another one that maybe runs to block trust API directly.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, I think we should leave that decision to the user or developer to pick what resolver they want to use. So for me, it's like leave it to the user to choose what resolver and bring the resolver. Because for me, the way that I would like to resolve did prisms would be to have like a separation of concerning between indexing the data from Cardano into something and then resolving from that database into a did. So I would like an intermediate step in there. So for example, for me, what I was proposing before to have the universal resolver, it would be to index all the metadata with that ID onto a GitHub, for example, and then the mobile app could just like the resolver can just go to that GitHub and fetch the data from there, for example, and that is very scalable. So for me, I would go for option 2 and leave it for the user for the developer to choose the resolver.
Yeah, I think I agree a lot stronger today with that statement than when I voted. Unfortunately,
So yeah, I agree too. That way you instantiate like resolver, pass it out to the agent to start, and it will just use that. And it has to be, of course, documented and all that, how you configure it, and provided these are the resolvers that are provided by the SDK, and maybe later it's like this is a template, like well, just the documentation. You will see how to implement your own. But yeah, and in that way, whatever we add, like if you want to resolve it using that solution, great, you can do it. If you like to just connect to an API, you can do it. If you want to run your own infrastructure and connect to your own API, you can do that too. So I feel like that's the more flexible solution for this. Yeah. Option 2.
Okay. Yeah, I think I agree. Then another point is, where are these things going to live? Not in Hyperledger, because we don't want to, I guess, create a small package like this for PrismDid. I would say also in I/O, I'm not sure we want to create three repositories, one for each resolver or one for each platform or whatever. So would you guys be okay by having this as part of the community effort?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Pluto encrypted.
Yeah, exactly. Somewhere in there.
Yeah. Yeah. At least the ones that are for the, because you can also attach one to resolve testnet, for example.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and it's just like, okay, you just extend whatever resolver, point it somewhere else, and that's it. It's very easy to kind of do that if you need it. So I like that, because we want to support both testnet and mainnet on our product too. So that will help a lot.
Yep. Cool. So please, again, guys, I 100% ask you to please give this a vote or a comment, add your opinions.
Mm-hmm.
But it is very helpful to see what we think about it. And this applies for you guys from the community and also for the rest of the team.
Cool.
Awesome. And then in this case, this is around supporting new DIT methods, and still it is not yet our priority, but as you know, and as we mentioned, on Thursday we are going to an interoperathon. So one, not in favor of interoperability, well, maybe a little bit, but my point is that one of the DIT methods that is likely, if we succeed on the workshop, to appear at some point is DIT peer, but we also need to start having discussions around other DIT methods that we may want to support to bring new people in. The ones that I specified here, don't consider them as like strictly a requirement, right? It can be anyone that we define. This is just about, do we plan to do it? Is this the right thing to plan? What do you guys think?
It's sort of the same with the resolver. It's like, if you can add ways to support new DIT methods or interfaces to do that, great. I will say we have to study what's out there. What's the, what has some traction and what makes sense to support. But in thinking in a decentralized way, yes, ideally you can support everything, right? But in practical terms, a lot of them are not very well used, or they have no limited usage. So I feel like we should study. I'll take a look what's out there, see what I can find of what are the most used ones, or like DIT web. I feel like that will always be used. It's very simple. It's not perfect, but
probably Trusted Web, or however that's pronounced.
Yeah, Trusted Web. Yeah. That's the one that's gonna replace the web anyway. So
Yeah.
I feel like that very strongly. TW should be one, because I heard a lot about that in IIW in the conference, and it's like a point where you can interface with other stuff, and for example, whatever the new foundation will do or adopt or recommend, we should take a look there too and see what's out there. But I feel like we should really at least prepare the SDKs in order to support or easily support new DIT methods that other developers can come from these other places, say, oh yeah, I can add the support, like it's easy. I have the interface, all I need to do is like implement it. If that exists, I feel it's going to be a plus. It's not necessarily that we have to decide which ones. I feel that we should allow this to happen whenever it needs to happen from external developers.
Right now, the DIT resolution part is 100% an interface, but the DIT creation part is not. And that's probably something that is in our roadmap for next year, is to make everything easier to integrate with, starting by DIT methods. Well, because the missing piece is to create the DIT method. Right now, we need functions inside the agent to do all these kind of things, and by moving to this interface-based approach, you would just need to define your create method inside the DIT class or whatever.
Right. Okay. So the same. Like we have the resolver, and we plan supporting extra resolvers, and that will support resolving different DITs through a common interface. And I feel the other leg of creating the DITs and all that should have the same approach. It's really about allowing the SDK to be extendable, right? And the market will decide what DIT methods will get implemented, but we need to have that option. So
yeah, I agree. Okay, John, raise your hand. Go ahead.
Yes, hello everyone. So from a business and scientific relevance standpoint, I think it's very important to be ready to pivot and to be considering any technology for DIDs that can be integrated with Identus to keep Identus as relevant as possible. The more interoperability that it has, the more use case it will have, and it'll gather a following with that in mind, and making sure that our SDKs are flexible or even possibly modular, where we could make strong pivots as the technology dictates, would be very important. That's all.
Yeah.
By the way, congrats for the hackathon thing that you won. I was not aware.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I just read about it. Cool. So yeah, as we said, at the end of the week, I'm going to start sharing the road. Well, tomorrow I have a session that is going to be like a 2 or 3 hour session with the team to discuss, to get not get mad, but get mad at each other about specific topics and all that. Then after that, I hope that by Thursday afternoon, I am going to have another presentation with the team to say, okay, this is what we all came up with. This is the roadmap. Anyone in favor or against? Raise your voice. Then after that happens, most of the team is going to be off next week. But then on next Tuesday, which is likely going to be our last community call of the year, I will bring in the updates the roadmap proposal. The rough roadmap has been already approved by IOE, so we are not like very far away from doing that. But from that roadmap, it's like a little bit high level. And what you guys need and what the team needs from now on is to have detail on the specific things that we need to complete. And that will come from next week. Probably in here on Discord also and GitHub discussions. So yeah, having that said, I don't know if you guys want to raise any other point. If not, we will likely close the call. Because we have Q&As and that's it.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you guys for your support and collaboration with us building Identus platform, and happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all best wishes.
The same, man. It's a pleasure working with you and with all the other people in here. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it. I know that the past months have not been easy, but here we are, like proving that we are far from being dead. If not, somebody come and tell me it's dead. But I feel we've made so much progress in the past month and a half, 2 months around what we are building. We are structuring the calls a lot better. Like I remember the first call that we did or that I did, like in 15 minutes I was done. Right? And now we are already filling the hour. And still there's not so many people in the room. I agree. I would like to see 10 people from the community. But then one of the things that we need to continue exploring is to create other workshops that are more in the Pacific time zone. So a meeting that would happen at my night, like in 5 hours from now, something like that. And if not, try to build a more decentralized community call on Discord. I don't know yet how to handle that.
Oh, I remember that. I think we will say like once a month or once every 2 months or something. Change the time of the meeting to accommodate the other part of the world too. Yeah.
Still, it is not clear because everyone is very busy with what you guys are doing already and nobody really wants to. Like, there is people that never fail. I have not seen a single meeting that you guys are not here, for example. John is a regular, you, Roberto, are regular, Bjorn is regular, John is regular. Like, there is people that we really like working with, but still, if we want to grow this, we need to get other people involved. And I'm not sure if this format is the best one. I'm not sure. Because if we publish it our community calls on a Discord video, I'm not sure if we can do that. But can you make a call on Discord and then publish the video of the call inside Discord directly? Anyone know?
I think so. Yeah. I know that you can make video calls and all that in Discord. Not sure if, well, I assume it's a paid feature where you can store the videos for later and all that.
Okay.
But yeah, but I agree, like Zoom, yeah, I don't know what's the best way to do it to kind of get more people in the calls. And then also these calls should be, well, they are recorded, right? And they're published. Where are these published? They're like a YouTube channel.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
On Hyperledger, right?
Yeah.
So that's we have to follow out that, like these calls should get, distributed or out there, and there should be a place like a wiki or somewhere where you can see past calls and all that, like make it easy for anyone to kind of jump in into the discussions. And there are tools now, like you can do like AI and resumes and kind of publish them alongside like a short paragraph of what it was about. And so
yeah,
we should try to do that. That I think that'll help onboard new people, and then just keep spreading the world. Yeah,
one thing
building.
One thing that we need to do is, and sorry to interrupt you, one thing that we need to do is make it crystal clear what we can do with these credentials in Cardano, and that's not yet fully defined. We know that you can create these operations on chain, you write these deeds on chain, but how can all the Cardano community benefit from having credentials in a smart contract? That's something that has not been solved, but there we have a huge community. Just by having a 5% of the community, we would grow so much. So I think we are leaning towards that, towards making it easier to integrate. That's why using existing Cardano wallets to create the Prism lead operation past week. That's why we did that. So yeah, we do have some goals around that. But yeah, that's one of our handicaps at the moment, is getting more people to join the community calls. Cool. Well, to also cover on what Yuri said, I also wish you good holidays for the people that I won't see next week. And thanks for this great year. Really appreciate it. Cool. Anything else, guys? Okie dokie. So yeah,
Thank you.
let's close the call.
Thank you, guys.
What's up?
Great work. Bye-bye.